crops are planted at Taos Pueblo, there's a traditional schedule that is followed. They watch for signs up in the mountains and around them. And this was established through years, hundreds of years of practice. So there was a right time to plant a certain variety of corn, and a right time to plant a different variety of corn. Because the corn of the type that we've planted here, they have different rates of maturity. And they also have different traditional uses. So because of that, the people knew when it was the right time to plant them. Also, some of the other crops like beans and squash, all of those were planted at a certain time. And within our traditions, there are activities that take place that would establish this schedule. And during the summertime, as the crops are growing up, they reach a certain level of growth. There are certain cultivation activities that are carried out. And again, this was under a schedule. So it kind of kept the community at the same pace, same schedule. So nobody was getting ahead of everybody else. And then in the fall, during the harvest time, the schedule was also followed. So that people were harvesting their crops at the same time. Nobody was doing it ahead of somebody else. So I realized that those practices that I observed were very meaningful because it kept the community coordinated in the planting, the raising of crops, the harvesting of crops. As we know, when you're into the growing of food crops, it takes the good soil, Mother Earth, in which you plant the crop. It takes the air, the atmosphere around us, the environment for the crop to take hold in the soil and to begin to grow. Very importantly, it requires water, moisture. So water is a very, very key, important ingredient in the growing of crops. We all know that. Here in the Southwest, water is not as abundant as it probably is in some of the areas that you come from. Like the Midwest, the East, you have a very substantial supply of water. Here in the West, in the Southwest particularly, water is not as abundant as it is in other places. We have limited large streams. We have a number of small streams that are tributaries to the bigger streams. So it is on those tributaries that many of the raising of crops took place amongst the Indian people. So the use of this water goes way, way back for the Indian people. Like here at Taos Pueblo, we've lived in this valley and other parts of the valley here in the Taos Valley. And every place that you go, you're going to find signs of agriculture. You're going to find old old irrigation ditches that were used to convey water from the streams to their fields. So over the years, as other people began to come into our valley here, then other people were also raising crops. And when you have a limited water supply, it sets up the stage at some point in time for disputes over the use of water, because it is a limited supply of water. So back in 1969, there was a court case that was filed for the adjudication of water rights in the Taos Valley here. And we, as the Indian tribe in this valley here, have what are called senior Aboriginal water rights, meaning that we were the first ones to use the water. We have senior rights, we have Aboriginal rights, old-time rights. But one can say that, but other people will disagree. They say, well, we have a need for water. We've been using water for a long time as well. So it sets up the stage for disputes over water. So our people at Taos Pueblo over the years had a number of disputes in the valley that were just between particularly the Hispanic people and the Indian people here. Some of the old documents that are on file back in 1823, when this area was still under the Mexican government, there's a court decree that was issued that was very favorable to the Indian people. It recognized our water rights. But then when the United States took over in 1847, and then in 1893 there was a territorial decree that was issued that kind of stripped away the original rights, doing those rights that were recognized in the 1823 decree. So this is some of the background against which, when that court case was filed in 1969, that our people begin to fight for our water rights.